Hey guys, it's Melissa with Helping Horizons. Good morning. I just wanted to come on here and talk about anxiety whys. WHY question mark. Why? So, why am I feeling like this? Am I the problem? Did I cause this? Why? So, the simple answer is no, you didn't cause it. But what causes anxiety? I've got my notes. I'm ready to go. So, according to the Cleveland Clinic, it's normal to have some nervousness and worry. What is normal? First of all, what is normal, right? So, it is normal, I guess, to have some sort of worry in your life, like, oh, am I going to be able to pay that bill on time? Am I going to be able to feed my family? So on and so on. That's normal. But anxiety comes when it interferes with your ability to function. Now, a lot of us have that. I have anxiety. It's not as bad as it used to be due to therapy and cognitive teachings and such like that. But is it still there under the surface? Yes, always. Okay? Your reactions are often out of proportion to situations. Say like, stubbing your toe. Like, I know people who've had full meltdowns over stubbing their toe, and I'm like, it's not that deep, you know? But they, because of all of the stresses and worries they have, and it's compounded into anxiety, that's a big deal. Okay? And it's not so much the stubbing of the toe, it's other things happening. But also when you can't control your response, like, I don't know, let's talk about some types of anxiety, okay? So there's generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, which is one that I was diagnosed with. 3% of the population. That doesn't seem like a huge number, but 3% of the population have GAD. I don't know. I never did understand that. But we'll figure it out. This condition causes fear, or it is fear-based, okay? And that's a big one for me. It is characterized by excessive or frequent or unrealistic worry about everyday things. A constant feeling of being overwhelmed, worried, or scared. There's been some things that happened in my life that I'm not ready to discuss on here yet, but I will, that have caused me to be anxious about people. I have social anxiety along with the GAD, generalized anxiety disorder. So, I mean, it's a little bit of both combined into one, like, anxiety ball. You know what I mean? So, agoraphobia is part of the anxiety spectrum. And agoraphobia is a condition that is an intense fear of becoming overwhelmed or unable to escape to get help. Man, talking about anxiety brings it up right here, y'all. Ooh, you see my cheeks getting red? My goodness. People with agoraphobia tend to avoid new places or unfamiliar spaces, like large open areas or enclosed spaces or crowds or places outside their home. They take comfort in one-on-one conversations rather than 2 or 3 people coming to talk to them. And that also has a lot to do with social and GAD. Panic disorder. This condition involves multiple unexpected panic attacks. And panic attacks happen, and sometimes people have gone to the hospital because they feel like they're having a heart attack, but it's a panic attack. It's true and it's real. This condition involves multiple unexpected panic attacks. They usually happen without warning, and due to mental health or physical condition. Most people with panic disorders also have agoraphobia. Most people. So think about that for a minute, okay? Social anxiety, your girl here, 7% of the population. This condition happens when you experience intense or ongoing fear of being judged or watched by others. Now, I'm going to put my little tablet down here. One of the things that I've really recently noticed is I've been pushing myself, because that's one of the things that I talk about on here is making sure you push yourself, okay? Push yourself, challenge yourself. Challenge yourself is actually one of the statements that I use a lot. And by challenging yourself, you exceed those barriers, okay? And here's my story. One of the things that I do, and 2 years ago I could not do it. 2 years ago, okay? I could not go to a restaurant and eat by myself. A lot of people can't, and it's not because of anxiety or any other issues. It's because they just don't want to. But a lot of people are afraid people are going to look at them. People are going to judge them. People are going to say something about them. You know, whatever the reasoning may be. So I went to a restaurant. I think it was maybe a McDonald's or something. And I ordered my breakfast and I sat there and I ate. Was I anxious the whole time? Yes. I was anxious the whole time. Did I get up and leave? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Did I go back again and again and again and again and try? Yes, I did. Now I can walk into a restaurant and eat by myself and not have a worry in the world. Practice, practice, practice. Challenge yourself. Challenge yourself. The fact that you even thought about doing it is a big deal. I don't know what your situation is. You can talk about it and send me a message if you want. But that was my story. Separation anxiety. A lot of people have this. Me, because I was in the foster care till I was 4 years old, I had a hard time building relationships with my new adoptive family. That was a struggle for many years. A lot of years. And it's just now that, and it was probably mostly my fault, but a little my mom's fault. When I say that, I mean like we came into the situation and it was already set up and real good. And I came into it and I was a holy terror because I didn't know how to adjust. I thought I didn't understand what adoption was. And I went on to just be a little hellion, I guess. But anyway, separation anxiety. This happens when you feel exacerbating anxiety when you're separated from a loved one. It can happen in babies and toddlers, but in children and grow to develop with age. Just think about that. And lastly, selective mutism. This condition happens when you don't talk in certain situations because of the fear of anxiety. It usually affects young children, but it can happen in adults and adolescents. Like me, and I don't know if I'm being selectively mute or whatever, but I do know that when I first meet someone, I'm quiet. I'm just like, and when I talk to people, this is also in people who have selective mutism. When they talk, they do this number. They don't look at you. But, however, when you're talking back to them, they're like this. eye contact. So select mutism and eye contact are two of the main things that are part of that group. Because, like I said, when I'm talking to someone, I can't look at them. I have a hard time, or I look at their forehead. But if they're talking to me, I'm like, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. There's so many intricate details woven into anxiety. It's fascinating. Fascinating. Okay. So here are some physical and emotional symptoms of anxiety. And this video is going to be a little bit longer, so I apologize for that. Physical symptoms are restlessness, shortness of breath, heart palpitations, muscle tension, cold or sweaty, clammy hands, numbness or tingling in your hands and feet, insomnia, and sometimes nausea. Yeah. What causes anxiety? Chemical imbalances, brain changes, or genetics and environment. Okay? Genetics and environment. So, how are anxiety disorders treated? Now, I'm sorry, this is one of those things that you can't go get a blood test and diagnose it. You have to physically go in and talk to somebody about what's going on with you. So, physical exams and talking about what's going on. Psychologist or psychiatrist exams can do an interview. I say exams, but interview. And they can discuss how symptoms interfere with your daily life. They will observe behaviors and attitudes. So by them and the studying that they have to do in order to get their degree, they can watch you and listen and process what you're saying and help decide what's going on with you. Sadly, like I said, there isn't a blood test. So how do you treat it? Anxiety is like any other health test. You have to go and talk to someone and figure out what's going on. Talk therapy, medication, those are two of the best ones, and I will die on that hill. Talk therapy has saved my life so many times. Like, when I first started going to counseling as a child, I hated it. I didn't want to know nothing about all that. But as an adult, when I walked into my first therapy session as an adult, as my own free will, it changed my life. And I will urge everyone. I think everyone should go to counseling, whether they've got a mental illness or not. Because sometimes the world is heavy. Sometimes the world is heavy. Okay? So that's my little spiel. Strategies to help you understand your anxiety should be cognitive behavioral therapy to help you recognize and identify those patterns. Like, so by going to counseling, they can help you realize, okay, loud banging can sometimes trigger an anxiety attack or a panic attack. My mom told me a story yesterday, I think, or the day before, about how, I hope she doesn't mind me using this story, but my uncle, I won't say his name because of privacy reasons, but my uncle, who was in the war, came home with PTSD. And some kids, probably my cousins, my older cousins, were outside banging around and making sounds and stuff, and it was causing him to react to that banging, probably thinking about the war and the gun sounds and things like that. So, going to cognitive therapy will help you understand those triggers. I'm so for therapy. You have no idea. So for therapy. But once you recognize those triggers, you can then be able to change your reaction to those triggers. It's going to trigger you, so you can put some music on. Whatever it may be, go for a walk. So, like I said, this is going to be a longer video because I always like to use examples. So, a couple years ago, I was in a car accident. It wasn't life-threatening to me, but it was bad enough that it shook me up and scared me to death. To death. I couldn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I was having, those thoughts and every time I closed my eyes, I was back in that situation of that lady hitting me and sideswiping me and my car, going all over the place. Well, it was scary for me, but I had people who counted on me to be the driver. So I drove the next day. And I was terrified. And after a few days, I realized maybe I'm not okay with this. Not driving people, but I need to process what just happened. And so I started with my counselor, I started doing exposure therapy. And she said, you have to get in your car and you have to go where the accident was and either just sit there or drive that little curve where that car accident was. And that's what I do. I mean, it's been a couple years and I'm over it now, but those first few times I was like, anxiety filled. Nowhere else, but just right there where that accident was. So that's another thing is exposure therapy. Like if being in a crowded room is going to cause you anxiety, then start by going to a place, I don't know, church, to Walmart, wherever that there's a lot of people, and just walk. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30, to where it doesn't bother you so much anymore. They're there, but stay at a distance. Okay, so, let's see here. Manage your stress. Like if something is stressing you out and causing you anxiety, talk to your counselor, talk to a trusted friend, talk to your pastor, talk to whomever you need to talk to, and try to get that stress out of your life. Everybody's going to have a little bit of stress. They're going to have a little bit of stress. Support groups, friends, and educate yourself. There's so much on the internet. Now, you got to be careful because some of it is not true. So always look for those certified choices that you're going to look up. But believe it or not, another thing is limiting caffeine. Caffeine is a stimulant. It stimulates your heart to race. Now, mind you, 5 years ago, I was drinking 2 or 3, 4 cans of pop a day. Coca-Cola, Dr. Pepper, whatever it might have been. Now I drink a lot of water. Sometimes I'll have me a sweet tea from McDonald's. Choice. So good. But limit that caffeine because that can cause a lot of anxiety. Okay? And here's the situation. Friends, we do recover. Okay? And I know that's an addiction line, but we do recover. We recover from mental illness. It's always going to be there. It's never going to dissipate and disappear. But we do recover enough to function. Okay? And I want to leave you with two lines of encouragement, just like all of my other ones. Strive to overcome. Challenge yourself. Those are the 2 things I want you to think about every day. Write them down, memorize them, whatever you got to do. Strive to overcome. Challenge yourself. I'm Melissa with Helping Horizons, and I hope you have a wonderful day.